It's interesting, when I got fired in 2010, really didn't know what the Lord had planned for me. I thought I'd coach again somewhere, but it's clear that He had, His plan was for me to serve with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes here in York County. And I think the thing that excites me about that ministry is to see the tremendous growth that's occurred in the last 3.5 years. I think to see the Lord assemble such a great staff of men and women who are impacting our community for Christ. And I think the thing that really excites me is the future of the ministry. Even though we've grown our staff from 4 to 10 over the last 3.5 years, our goal and our vision is to have a chaplain on every high school campus. And that means we've got to hire 5 more. And we want to see that happen as soon as possible. So it's really exciting to see the growth of the ministry and the staff the Lord's assembled.
What excites me most about my ministry with FCA is that I get to talk about God and sports all day. And those are my 2 most favorite things to talk about. And it's so exciting to get to share the gospel with others.
So now I have the opportunity each and every week to be able to give back to coaches by spending time with them in Bible study, and also spending time with athletes that I know that I was in their position at one point in my life, and I just want to be able to encourage them that those decisions that you may compromise your faith at times in, they don't have to affect you into the future. You can make a difference in your life now by receiving Christ and allowing Him to live through you. And I get to share that with coaches and athletes each and every week, and that's what excites me most about being a part of Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
The most exciting thing to me about FCA is seeing 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders passionate about their relationship with Christ. We typically dismiss students as being unable to take a stand for Christ, and I have found that to be absolutely untrue. In elementary schools, 4th and 5th graders are taking responsibility for sharing Christ with their school and with their friends and with their teachers. In middle school, we're seeing these elementary students who've been in huddles go into middle school ready for Fellowship of Christian Athletes. They know when the huddles are, and they're ready to get involved and talk about Jesus on their campuses.
My life was changed as a college athlete, and now I have the opportunity to turn around and be that campus minister who can invest in and see the next generation of college athletes have their life changed for all of eternity. So that's what gets me up in the morning and gets me excited to go to work every day, knowing that I can return the favor, so to speak, and impact people in their life the way that my life has been impacted by Christ.
What excites me most about being on staff with FCA is just the ability to be around young people most of the time. I love working with the young staff and being around athletes. I love seeing the passion in coaches and just supporters of FCA. It's just a real blessing to be around the ministry.
Things that excite me most about FCA is the relationships that I get to build with athletes and coaches. From some of the sports that I'm more familiar with, like baseball and basketball, to some sports like wrestling and football, where I spend a lot of time on the couch just sitting back and watching, but now getting to see the mentality of those athletes and those coaches and seeing how they turn and use God and use their efforts to praise Him on and off the field is something that's truly gratifying to me.
The thing that really gets me going and gets me excited about FCA, I have a group of coaches that I've been meeting with for about 3 years now. Every Wednesday morning over at South Point, we have a good time. We do a Bible study. Sometimes we may watch a movie, but those guys, we've been together for 3 years. Had a couple come and go, some new ones. We're in there now, but we've been a pretty tight-knit group for the last 3 years, and I enjoy that time. Also, I'm a baseball guy, but football Friday night, nothing like it. Nothing on the earth is like football Friday night, and I enjoy picking my nephew up on Fridays, and he actually comes to the South Point games with me. And right before the game, a lot of people don't realize this, but we have a devotion right before we go out, whether it's 9th grade, JV, or varsity, and that's a pretty special time. Sometimes I speak, we have other coaches that speak, but I really enjoy that time right before the football game when we get to share the Lord. And this football Friday night's awesome. One thing in the South, we love Jesus and we love football, so I really get excited about those Friday nights and even on Wednesday morning getting to share with those coaches.
I came to know Christ at a very early age, when I was 6 years old. And from that, I've learned, as I've grown in my faith, that it's all about the relationship. And it's not about a list of do's and don'ts, and that's really helped me grow in my faith.
If you would like to pray for me, I'd ask that you pray for some specific areas of my ministry. One is that we have doors that are opened up at USC Lancaster. Statistics say that most students, when they go off to college, they tend to drift from their faith because they're really trying to find who they really are in the world. I want to be able to impact those lives at the university level. So be praying that USC Lancaster will be reached with the gospel through the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And also just be praying for the team Bible studies that we're trying to start up at each and every high school with each and every sport. Those are one of the things that really mean something to my heart. So trying to find those people that we can plug in, whether it be a youth pastor from the area, a parent, or someone that would come in and lead a Bible study that would be able to allow athletes to be able to be reached with the gospel, and also that we can continue to have the coaches' Bible studies and continue to reach them because they have such a great influence in these athletes' lives and even in the parents' lives. They want to be able to equip them to be great examples, even better examples to the athletes and the parents that they influence each and every week.
The power of prayer is life-changing, and it can change our world. And so I ask that you pray for our elementary students, pray for our middle school students, not just the children that you call yours, but the children by extension that you claim as yours. Children you know from church, children you know from your neighborhood, your friends' kids, the kids that you love, and their friends. Our campuses in York County need Christ. And when our students are fired up and fed with local huddles in their school that they are responsible for leading and investing in, campuses can be changed. So if you pray for our schools, pray for our campuses, pray for our students, pray for our administrators and our teachers.
I really have a burden to see two things take place on the Winthrop campus, and would love to ask you to join me in praying that God would bring these two things about. The first burden I have is for the male athletes. As you may know, Winthrop is predominantly a female campus, and as oftentimes the case, women tend to take more interest in spiritual things initially. And so I have a real heart to see the men, the male athletes, be raised up and be the men that God is calling them to be. The second thing I have a burden for, in addition to the male athletes, is just leaders in general. We have a lot of students who come to our events, kind of checking us out, come to our weekly meeting. We know a lot of the students, but really have a heart to see God raise up a handful of students who will go all in and live out their faith and take a stand on the college campus and just live it out 24/7. So would you pray with me that God would raise up the male athletes and God would raise up leaders at Winthrop University?
A specific prayer request for me would be that God would just give me opportunities daily to serve the staff in a positive way, that I would do my job with integrity and encouragement to those around me, and just serve God the best I can on a daily basis.
A few things you could pray for the ministry as I serve at Northwestern and I serve in the community with baseball. It's just the relationships with athletes and coaches, and just continue just to bring them towards Jesus. And then from that, just having prayer for wisdom and understanding as I go throughout my everyday opportunities, using them to serve Him to bring Him glory.
I was actually raised in a Christian home. My parents are both solid Christians. Went to a Christian school when I was little, and when the school closed, I actually started going to school over at Louisville. Just raised in that Christian home. When I was 4 years old, I remember asking Jesus into my heart. The teacher at the private school, the Christian school, gave an invitation one day, and I asked Jesus into my heart. And as I got older, I started growing away from Him. And God was always dealing with me in high school and in college. God actually called me into the ministry when I was 17 years old, and I ran. I ran for 7 years, didn't tell anybody anything. And I still, the whole time I was running, He was using me. I was doing some small little ministry things here and there, but I still knew deep down that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. So at the age of 24, I actually turned my life over to Christ completely, totally surrendered, went back to Bible college, and people ask me when I got saved. Well, I asked Jesus into my heart when I was 4 years old, but God really made a huge change in me at 24 years old when I went back to Bible college, and been in the ministry for 10 years now. So been a good time the last 10 years.
you know, my role as the area director, I have three main responsibilities. I set the vision for the ministry, I hire staff, and raise funds for the ministry. And I think the vision's clear to us to have a chaplain on all of our high school campuses. I think the place where people can pray are for 2 and 3. Number one, that the Lord would provide staff for those positions. And number two, that He would provide the funds, that the people of our community would realize the impact that we're making and would feel that they want to partner with us, and that the Lord would raise the funds to allow us to do the ministry that we want to do.